From New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi cuts short his visit to Saudi Arabia in view of the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. The US President Donald Trump says that the United States stands strong with India against terrorism, calls Pahalgam attack a deeply disturbing news out of Kashmir. The Russian president extends his condolences after the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, says this brutal crime has no justification whatsoever. The US Vice President J.D. Vance says that the US and India can accomplish much more together, and President Trump wants both US-India to grow. In view of the terrorist attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam on Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has skipped the official dinner hosted by Saudi Arabia and has decided to cut short his visit to the kingdom. Prime Minister Modi will leave for India on Tuesday night. While he was originally scheduled to return on Wednesday night, he will now arrive in India early on Wednesday morning. At least 12 tourists were injured in a terrorist attack in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam on Tuesday. The incident took place in the Baisaran Valley, where unidentified gunmen opened fire on a group of tourists who were visiting the area. The injured were evacuated with the help of locals and airlifted by authorities. All have been admitted to Pahalgam Hospital and are stated to be stable. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a telephonic conversation with the Home Minister Amit Shah on the Pahalgam terror attack. Later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on the social media platform X, and I quote him now, "I strongly condemn the terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. Condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that the injured recover at the earliest. All possible assistance is being provided to those affected. Those behind this heinous attack will be brought to justice. They will not be spared. Their evil agenda will never succeed. Our resolve to fight terrorism is unshakable, and it will be even stronger," unquote. Meanwhile, the Home Minister Amit Shah rushed to Srinagar and held an urgent security review meeting with all the agencies. The meeting was to assess the current security situation and deploy immediate counter-terrorism measures to secure the region. Security forces launched a search operation following reports of gunfire. The incident comes amid a surge in tourist arrivals in Kashmir, ahead of the annual Amarnath Yatra beginning July 3. On the terror attack in Pahalgam, the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, wrote on X, and I quote, "The terrorist attack on tourists in Pahalgam of Jammu and Kashmir is shocking and painful. It is a dastardly and an inhuman act which must be condemned unequivocally. Attacking innocent citizens, in this case tourists, is utterly appalling and unpardonable. My heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost their dear ones, and my prayers for the quick recovery of the injured." US President Donald Trump said that the United States stands strongly with India against terrorism. Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social, and I quote him now, "Deeply disturbing news out of Kashmir. The United States stands strong with India against terrorism. We pray for the souls of those lost and for the recovery of the injured. Prime Minister Modi and the incredible people of India have our full support and deepest sympathies. Our hearts are with you all." The Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed condolences over the Pahalgam terror attack. In a letter to President Murmu, the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of India, he wrote, and I quote, "Please accept the deepest condolences over the tragic consequences of the terrorist attack near the town of Pahalgam that claimed the lives of civilians, citizens of various countries. There can be no justification for this brutal crime. We expect that its sponsors and perpetrators will be duly punished. I would like to reiterate the readiness for further strengthening of cooperation with the Indian partners in the fight against all forms and manifestations of terrorism. Please convey words of sincere sympathy and support to the near and dear ones of the deceased, as well as wishes for a speedy recovery of all injured. The US Vice President J.D. Vance and the Second Lady Usha Vance, who are on a 4-day visit to India, extended condolences to the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack on Tuesday. In a post on X, the US Vice President wrote, and I quote, "Usha and I extend our condolences to the victims of the devastating terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India. Over the past few days, we have been overcome with the beauty of this country and its people. Our thoughts and prayers are with them as they mourn this horrific attack." The Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar extended condolences to the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack on Tuesday. Deeply saddened by the heinous terror attack on tourists in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, our thoughts are with the victims and their families. Israel stands united with India in the fight against terror. The Russian ambassador to India, Denis Alipov, expressed his condolences to the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack on Tuesday in a post on X. The Russian ambassador wrote, and I quote, "Deepest condolences to the people and the government of India over the heinous terror attack against tourists in Pahalgam, Russia resolutely stands with India," unquote. On the terror attack, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also took to X and he wrote, "Deeply anguished by the news of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, this dastardly attack on innocent civilians is an act of cowardice and is highly reprehensible. My thoughts and prayers are with the innocent victims and their families." You're watching DD India live. Let's take a break.
Bharat welcomes the world to a new era of creativity. Waves World Audio-Visual and Entertainment Summit as Mumbai hosts the global stage for creativity and innovation. Connecting creators through Creatosphere, where emerging voices rise. Wave Accelerator, where ideas meet global investors. Waves Bazaar, a global marketplace for content. Connecting countries through global media dialogue and industry roundtable. Bharat Pavilion, capturing India's rich history of storytelling.
वेव्स के रूप में भारत एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बनाने जा रहा है जिसमें दुनिया के एंटरटेनमेंट लैंडस्केप पर उसको बदलने की क्षमता होगी.
From culturals to cinema, gaming to animation, fueling the next wave of entertainment. Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Goa, a wild nature paradise, where over a third of the state remains wild today, and every corner is full of surprises. Goa's forests evolved through the seasons. Insects and crocodiles flourish in the monsoon, butterflies in the months after the rains subside, and in the winter, the jungle transforms into a haven for birds. Oh, there's a female right next to him. Oh my God, is that 8 otters? That's one of my favorite things about these forests. There are still so many secrets out there. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
I always believe a good story with the right vision can break boundaries. RRR proved that with the applause it got in the US market, in the Japanese market. World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, WAVES, is exactly doing that now, taking Indian entertainment global. So grab your seat, the adventure begins.
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
Welcome back. Let's go across now to Jeddah, where our correspondent, my colleague Amrit Pal Singh, is standing by with more updates. Amrit Pal, when can we expect a joint statement?
The meeting is still currently on. Right now, what is happening, Mark, as I told you a little while back when we were conversing, that the informal meeting between the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Modi is currently on. So once that is done, because the Strategic Partnership Council is over, I'm sure the mandarins of foreign offices of both countries are drafting the joint statement. So we could expect that to follow later in the night, Mark.
Indeed, and we know that the Prime Minister is cutting short his visit now and will be returning to India early tomorrow morning. So late on Tuesday night, he'll be leaving Saudi Arabia. Tell us, the reasons for the Prime Minister cutting short his visit and what other statements have been coming in. You yourself had asked the spokesperson about, the Prime Minister having conversations with world leaders. Fill us in with the details.
Well, what we know is that Donald Trump, the US President, is expected to have a conversation with Prime Minister Modi sometime soon, tonight itself. That's what the White House press secretary has said. There are world leaders who have condemned the attack, including the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. There are other leaders, there are other world reactions coming in. So my question, the spokesperson, you heard the answer saying that they'll be putting out the statement on what transpired in the talks, who all talked to Prime Minister Modi tonight or tomorrow morning, because he'll be in the air in about an hour's time. Once he finishes the informal meeting with the Crown Prince, he has 2 more meetings lined up here before he leaves, before he departs from here. So if you go by the Indian Standard Time, he shall be departing, it's already the next day, so he'll be departing late in the intervening night, that's tonight, and he'll reach there tomorrow morning. That's the response. But with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, it was clear that the two sides, began the meeting by talking about the attack, and of course the Prime Minister is cutting short his visit because of this attack. The two leaders have strongly condemned this, and the Crown Prince offered his support, condolences, sympathies, and offered support in this regard.
Right.
The exact formulation we would know in the joint statement as to what length terrorism was discussed, but it was, as expected, discussed in the Strategic Partnership Council meeting, Mark.
And what are the key takeaways, Amrit Pal, from this visit that the Prime Minister has made to Saudi Arabia?
4 MOUs signed in the sector, in space, in the Department of Posts, in health, and between the anti-doping agencies. These are the formal MOUs signed. The scope of the Strategic Partnership Council expanded from 2 committees in it. Now there will be 4 committees. Investments discussed, intent expressed to increase or upscale both trade bilateral trade and investments into India and the Indian investments into Saudi Arabia. There is a framework in place, an ambitious framework in place. Both countries, the two sides review, the two leaders and their delegations reviewed that. As you know, Prime Minister Modi was accompanied by Dr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, and the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and officials from the Foreign Office. So not just the Foreign Office, but other concerned ministries, including the Commerce Ministry. That was discussed at length. The exact the steps decided would be reflected in the joint statement, but we know from the press briefing that took place a little while back, the agreement to set up 2 refineries by Saudis in India is through. The feasibility study was conducted, and the Saudis would be going ahead and investing in 2 refineries in India, Mark.
And what about IMEC?
IMEC was discussed at length. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to expediting the work on IMEC. As you know, IMEC benefits both Saudi Arabia and India, and also the other countries in the region and through which it passes. But after the unfortunate attacks, the October 7 attacks by Hamas, and the ensuing conflict, the roadblocks came up for the IMEC, but as conflict resolution efforts are on for that, the two sides reaffirmed their commitment to expedite and to make up for the time lost due to the conflict, Mark.
So what is the time frame then for the completion of the corridor, Amrit? Any chance, any idea that when we would see this integrating trade between West Asia, India and Europe?
That's a logical question to ask, which was asked in the press briefing itself. The answer, I'll reiterate the answer which was given by the ambassador, saying that these are long-term projects. Corridor, once it starts getting complete, once it starts getting it comes to the execution stage, it takes time. He did not put a time frame to it, but yes, they've expressed their commitment to it, because this involves, it's a multi-sectoral activity, multi-country initiative, which, as you understand, takes years and years. But the key players in this, that is India, Saudi Arabia and Europe, have expressed their commitment because it's beneficial to all, because it gives or it provides an opportunity for alternate supply chains. So nobody is against it in principle, but how the world situation develops is not in their hands.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Amritpal Singh. And it was also something that was decided at when India was the president of the G20. Now, moving on then to our next story. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict shows no signs of slowing down. Despite intensifying diplomatic efforts, Russia has expressed a willingness to consider Ukrainian President Zelensky's proposal to halt attacks on civilian infrastructure. Meanwhile, representatives from Ukraine, UK, France and the US are set to meet in London on Wednesday to discuss a ceasefire following last week's talks in Paris.
As Russia and Ukraine continue to bomb each other's territories, efforts to find a diplomatic solution are intensifying. As both sides face mounting pressure to show progress towards ending the conflict, Russia has stated it is ready to consider a proposal by Ukrainian President Zelensky to halt attacks on each other's civilian infrastructure. However, Kremlin said there is no concrete plans at the moment for talks between Russia and Ukraine.
With desire and openness of Ukrainian side, certain steps should be taken to remove legal obstacles in the way of such contacts. President Putin repeatedly talked about his readiness to settle the conflict in the way of negotiations. There are no concrete plans. There is President Putin's confirmation to discuss this matter, taking into account experience of the Easter ceasefire.
Representatives from Ukraine, the UK, France and the US will meet in London on Wednesday to continue talks on ceasefire negotiations in the ongoing conflict. This follows last week's meeting in Paris, where US Secretary of State Marco Rubio outlined Washington's plan to end the war.
Today was almost entirely dedicated to working with partner in various formats. We are preparing meeting for Wednesday with partner from Europe, the UK, France, Germany, and from the United States. These meetings can bring us closer to a ceasefire and a real lasting peace. Ukraine maintains its proposal not to strike at least civilian infrastructure, and we are expecting a clear response from Moscow.
Both Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of violating the energy agreement and Easter truce, continuing strikes without cease. Meanwhile, Russia has advanced in the border region, recapturing new areas. On Tuesday, Ukraine said Russia launched 2 guided aerial bombs on Zaporizhia, killing a woman and damaging residential buildings and infrastructure. Bureau Report, DD India.
Days after rejecting Israel's ceasefire proposal, a Hamas delegation has headed to Cairo to discuss new ideas for the Gaza truce. Well, Israel demands Hamas be disarmed, which the group rejects. Meanwhile, pressure mounts for the release of the remaining Israeli hostages in Hamas's captivity.
Diplomacy is gaining ground in the Israel-Hamas conflict as a Hamas delegation left for Egypt's Cairo for talks to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. The renewed push comes after Hamas last week rejected Israel's proposal for a 45-day ceasefire in exchange for the release of 10 hostages held in the enclave. Nearly 59 people who were taken hostage by Hamas during the October 7th attack are still believed to be in Gaza. The latest round of discussions is also happening a day after newly appointed US ambassador to Israel urged Hamas to accept a deal that would secure the release of hostages in exchange for the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Pressure is also mounting on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Thousands of protesters took to the streets in Tel Aviv calling on the Israeli government to strike an agreement with Hamas.
My son was kidnapped from Nahal Oz. He was defending this country, and this country is obligated to defend him, to bring him back. He is badly injured from 7 October.
Meanwhile, an Israeli drone strike in Lebanon killed Hussein Atawi, a top commander from a Hamas-aligned militant group. The Israeli army said that Atawi was involved in planning and advancing terrorist activities from Lebanon into Israeli territory, targeting IDF soldiers on the northern border. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can also scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.